Somehow my professor thought that I would not do very well at it, given that I was the only commerce graduate in my class. Everybody else was either an engineer from IIT or somewhere else. So I came from frankly, a middle class background, right? Lower middle class, I would say. I didn't have money to spend where I could, just enjoy my MBA and get through it and hope for the best. In the Australian army, they never hire people who've never failed in life. You'll never find a soldier in Australian army who's not failed in life. If you're not failed, they'll not hire.
How important is coding knowledge in field of analytics? Essential, not necessary.
Not necessary. I am a prime example.
Today we have a very special guest with us. He's Saurabh. Saurabh has been an industry leader for more than 15 years, and he's been working in the space of analytics and consulting, and also in space of strategy and transformation. He is currently director at Tiger Analytics Canada. So the purpose of this podcast is to learn from his vast experiences, learn from his ups and downs, and become a better leader and a professional overall. So sip in your chai or coffee and enjoy our conversation. Welcome, Saurabh, to the Next Grad Show. Let us know what you do and how you're changing the landscape in analytics.
Well, I don't know if I'm changing the landscape, but yeah, I'm very much a part of it. No, thank you for inviting me to this. I think it's a fantastic platform for anybody who's young, who's upcoming in the industry, not only from the perspective of analytics, but otherwise as well. I've gone through my fair share of journey over the last 15, 16 years. Back then, we didn't have folks like you who could do these podcasts and help people with experiences like this. But then, just a little bit about me. I'm currently working as a director in Tiger Analytics in analytics consulting space. I'm a client partner where I look after strategic accounts for Tiger Analytics. And before this, I was working with an organization called EXL. I was there for about 13 years, again into analytics. Bunch of different projects to work on and different domains that I experienced on. Before this, I did my MBA from Nasimunji back in 2008, and 1 year with GE Money before that, and then graduation from Sriram College. That's been my very, very brief journey, and we will talk more as we progress.
Right. So, Saurabh, I know you spoke about your academic journey as well, but we'll try to dig in a bit deep.
Sure.
So, walk us through your experience at SRCC and then your MBA experiences, because our viewers are people, those who are preparing for these institutions and are aspiring to be an MBA candidate or have been graduated and they're early professionals. So these are the folks who are watching us. So, take us through your journey at SRCC, your experiences, and then MBA, and what has changed, and how, if those experiences has ultimately helped you in your career.
Sure. So I'll talk about SRCC first. So I come from a school called New Greenfield School. This is back in Saket in Delhi, and I happen to be one of the first ones to get into SRCC from there. So it was very overwhelming to begin with, right? Not only from a personal perspective, but also from the fact that I was surrounded by folks who were 97%, 98%, 99% in their state boards, school boards, fantastic folks, and it was overwhelming to begin with, and I felt a lot of pressure to perform during that time. But what I very quickly realized was, they are possibly just like me, right? There's nothing different. I did my own thing, did well during graduation. I think one thing that SRCC taught me was I got surrounded by a lot of intelligent folks. So ideas of how people think about their careers, things that people do in parallel while doing graduation. You can fly through it, or you can, put your grind in your graduation time as well. So I think that grinding kind of came to me from SRCC, being competitive, being, understanding what hard work really is. How do you get to the top, and you sustain there. Getting to the top is easy, but sustaining there is a lot more difficult. So consistently doing it year over year is what I realized, what it takes and how much goes in it. And frankly, I came from a school with not a lot of eloquent speakers in English. So my English was really poor, and I have no qualms in saying that. really poor English in terms of spoken English. Right, so it was difficult to me for me to talk to folks who were from Springdales, from DPSs of the world. But then I picked it up. I think that's what that college did to me. It pushed me so hard that I picked it up. I watched a bunch of web series and everything that I could do to come up the curve and be at least as good as them, if not better. So I think the grinding that I was talking about kind of just it naturally happened to me. And first year was great, second year was average, third year again was great because I could then understand what it takes. It took me that long. SRCC prepared me well for what was coming my way. So I worked for a year after that, but that was mostly on the credit card side and underwriting process. I was parallelly giving exams for, of course, MBA, right? And my story has a bunch of failures in it, right? And just like everybody
Love to know.
else, right? So and whenever somebody asks me about my experiences, I always say it's a failure story and it's not really a success story. My success is just a summary of all what I've learned from my failures. So after, I won't say stumbling through it, but learning so much in SRCC, I started giving CAD exams and I did horribly at it, right? So I just could not be at the same level as others who were around me in the SRCC, people who were almost clearing their CAs and CSAs and, already got through IFT and, all have four more calls, etc. And I was just struggling. So during that 1 year, it was tough for me, but I learned a lot through those competitive exams after failing through the one cycle, the other cycle, and then subsequently got through Narsimunji. Narsimunji was interesting because that was the first time I got out of Delhi. So personally, it was a big, big change for me. And folks from Delhi don't like Bombay right away. It takes them time to realize how beautiful the city is. So I fell in love with it and the MBA. MBA taught me business acumen. MBA taught me presentation skills. It gave me a lot of perspective on how do you solve a business problem and what is it that you need to do. What are the things you need to prepare on? And I think that set me up very well for analytics. Analytics happened with it. It was a campus recruitment that I got through. That time it was called Inductis, and then it subsequently got acquired by EXL. And extremely fulfilling because it started again with a failure that I was not good at programming at all. I did not have the knack for it. Not being from a computer science background or an engineer, kind of always, was a reason behind me not being good at it. But then that was the first setback in analytics. I thought, I mean, this is just the end of everything. I will never be good at it. Uh, in SRCC, I thought I had arrived in life. In after getting the job, I thought I had arrived in life, but failures kept on coming every single time. Um, the ability is to really get up from it, right? You'll always face it, and I always give this anecdote. In the Australian Army, they never hire people who've never failed in life. You'll never find a soldier in Australian Army who's not failed in life. If you're not failed, they'll not hire you because you don't know how to get up from it. So you will get knocked down. Each one of us get knocked down. It's just about dusting yourself up, looking at the next opportunity and moving on. You can cry about it, nothing's gonna change it. But you just need to try. And that's been the huge learning that I have acquired through my life, through EXL, through every project that I've worked in. So I think that kind of got me into EXL and then, subsequently again going through multiple failures, I learned the tricks of the trade to an extent that I think I can now confidently call myself a good analytics professional.
Yeah. I mean, so picking from your entire like conversation, I mean, like from your journey. So, I mean, you made into SRCC, and like a lot of people, it's a dream for a lot of people. I mean, like, no, we get 48,000, 50,000 applications for those two programs that SRCC has. I mean, so someone no entering into those gates, like they have already, I mean, accomplished something, and then you were facing problems there and no difficulties there, and you're overcoming it. So basically what I can conclude here is, and I mean, like, trying to conclude for all my viewers, that these colleges, these institutions teach you that fineness, that it teaches you how to get up from those situation, those problems, and then kind of that learning, you take it through life, right, through your professional journey, and then you become a leader of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, everyone, those who graduating from these top institutions has that knack, right? And then that's why you see those percentage of people becoming those leaders, those entrepreneurs, and then kind of succeeding in life as well. Great, great, great. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
that. So like, no, I have prepared few questions that I'll read it for you,
Sure.
so that no, we have get those pinpointed answers from you.
Mhm.
So like, we talked about your SRCC and MBA. So I mean, I have so many stories from people talking about those MBA journeys. So did that happen to you as well? If you can, tell us about your 2 years journey in like Nasimunji, and if there was anything that changed you completely.
Um, well, the first semester, I was doing a program that was very heavy on mathematics, and somehow my professor thought that I would not do very well at it, given that I was the only commerce graduate in my class. Everybody else was either an engineer from IIT or somewhere else. So he basically told me that if you pass through it, that will be fantastic. And that somehow, just stuck a very wrong chord in my head. And I topped that exam eventually. But then,
Oh.
that's something that I always tell folks, that don't get bogged down by people, right? I was
Hmm.
constantly told that you're the only commerce person in this. So my MBA was in actuarial science, so it was very heavy on statistics and mathematics. And that is the reason why they thought that I may not be as good at, programmings and complex mathematical problems, etc. So
Uh-huh.
the challenge for me was to rise to the occasion and essentially take it up, as a challenge from that professor that I was working with. So that was very fulfilling for me. And I came from frankly, a middle class background, right? Lower middle class, I would say. I didn't have money to spend where I could, just enjoy my MBA and get through it and hope for the best. I had to do well. My family supported me during that time so much, and staying outside, so many expenses. I had to really struggle and make sure that I did very, very well in my MBA. And I think that grind kind of continued there. That hard work of going through those semesters, going through subjects that I was not very comfortable with, but then wanted to do well in, because, personally, I wanted to make sure that my family kind of is proud of me of being able to fund it. Uh, MBA specifically, I think my big transformation was really towards the end of first year, where uh, while I was doing academically well, I was still, not as business oriented and as smart in terms of, subjects like business strategy, subjects like which were very heavy on understanding the core of any business that you work with. So I had taken I had spoken to one of my seniors who then helped me out in terms of understanding what is it that I'm doing wrong. So I surrounded myself intentionally with folks who were a part of either a society in the college that was focusing on this. There was a business acumen society that we had in Narsimunji. So I got myself enrolled there, and I worked for real, not for my resume. I worked for real for it. So I think that to me was really important and a big inflection point, because it helped me, one, understand what was lacking, and then what do I need to do to kind of fulfill the gap on. And I think that's really what got me through my interview with the Nactis. Like I said, I was not a great programmer, so clearly that was not the case. But then my ability to link a business problem, structure my thoughts, eventually present a solution, look at different options, and focus on the most important thing that I always tell people is ROI, right? The return that you get from solving anything. What is it for business? I think that was really the inflection point, and a big, big learning that I got from my MBA.
Wow. So, I mean, what I could pick from your entire journey is like a professor not believing in you, and then you taught that course. So basically, I can understand what kind of self-image you must have built with that. I mean, people not believing in you, and then you are not sailing it through entirely. So, I mean, wow. I mean, this is a super learning for all our viewers as well. Like, no, life hits you, but you get up and you
Absolutely,
fight for it.
100%. And I can tell you from personal experience. Like I said, my life is full of failures, right? I've faced so many of them, but then I don't get phased. I mean, it is what it is. You just move on, and people will always tell you you cannot do it. Always, they've told me repeatedly, this cannot be done. You should not do this. If you truly believe, I think it's absolutely worth a shot. I won't say you'll succeed, but I'll say it's definitely worth a shot.
Awesome, awesome. Great, great. Thank you so much. Just one question that came into my mind while listening to your entire journey. Like, do you think that because you got into an MBA right after 1 year of experiences, so do you believe that people should have like a 2 to 3 years of experience before getting into an MBA because they understand the business plan, or you would still suggest that they should get into right after the end of the
I would
MBA? What would be
100%
your
say,
stand?
get some experience before you get into MBA. My reason for realizing that I did not have that business acumen was because I did not have enough experience. Had I had that experience, I think I would have probably focused on few more other things that I would have liked in hindsight today. But then, uh, absolutely yes. I think you should just get experience and don't worry about what is that experience, right? Whatever you work on, don't go for the don't go for the moon directly, is what I'm really trying to say. Whatever you get your hands on, even if it's a data analyst role, and I'm just talking from the context of analytics right now, but in your
Analytics.
field of interest, even if it's the starting job, it's an internship, anything you can get your hands on, I think it's so valuable. Uh, and I can give you a very quick example. Day before yesterday, I was interviewing a guy. He was in Canada, and he actually did 4 jobs related to product management as an intern with his MBA, and he was from University of Waterloo. And such an impressive guy because in essence he only had 2.5 3 years experience if you total everything, but then such an impressive guy because he picked up skills while he was doing it. And I asked this question to him specifically: what did you do to manage your time? And he just said that, I wanted to learn. That's it. And that's why I say, if you gain experience, that's the level of seriousness you need to have about it, and the eagerness to have to learn. That was a great example for me, right? In hindsight, I should have ideally worked for 2 3 years before I got into my MBA. But again, I feel people should get into MBA after working. It gives them amazing amount of context when they actually start studying the course through MBA.
Right. And the relative they can compare it to their
Oh
work
yeah,
experiences and no the challenges they must have faced
hundred
in
percent.
while working. Great, great. So few more for us. Like I mean, you already spoke about getting into the first like EXL, getting into the analytics. So like this one question that keeps coming into my mind, like when it comes to analytics, like what was the key skill and experiences that have been most valuable for your entire journey? I'm sure because I see that you have risen through the corporate ladder. What was that one or two key skills and experiences that helped you, being successful throughout these years?
So there's a book called Extreme Ownership, right? So I was really really inspired by that book. It essentially talks about taking, as the name suggests, right, taking extreme ownership of anything that you do in life. I think that's one skill which has helped me sail through a lot of difficult situations, a lot of difficult projects, as well as ability to understand what it takes to make a project successful, right? So that, I think, book went a long way in my career. Second, in terms of skills, I think your interest in understanding who are you speaking to in the business, right? So let's say if I'm going for a project and I'm just working as a data analyst, it's really important to understand the context, what you're doing, why you're doing. Ask that question. My One of my very good friends told me that if you're in a room and if you don't have an opinion, you're as good as a fly on the wall. Nobody cares, right? So always have an opinion, always have questions. Does not matter you're a data analyst, you're a senior data analyst, you're a project manager, does not matter. If you should have questions, you should prepare well for such meetings, and it goes a long way in terms of helping you grow as a professional. Don't think of it as you're trying to impress somebody. This is for you. This is for you to learn, and that's the attitude one needs to keep. Even today, I think I learn every day from everybody in my team. Right, so many different skills. I learned a lot from my wife. To be fair, right, hard work and resilience, I think, actually went levels above after I met my wife, because she's extremely hardworking in what she does. So I have always learned through my life, through different people that I've met. So for me, I think these two things are extremely important. Have an opinion, always contextualize, know the end objective, as well as take full ownership of your work. This is my job. This is what I need to do. Is everybody does that? Like, what is extra is if you take full ownership, you will see the difference in being a true accountable and an ownership oriented person when you work in a project. I think that will just make a huge difference. I struggle to find such people, by the way. So that's one skill I always look for. What have you done in your life to demonstrate a high level of ownership of anything that you do? Forget about work. Anything that you do. Yes, I take ownership of all the actions that I've taken. I went to my college, did these courses, uh, did end to end, and these are three things that I did differently. I think that's really sets you apart.
Wow. So basically, taking the extreme ownership, asking right questions, and having a good opinion
Right.
about whatever you do. So basically, that sets you apart. Great, great. Thank you so much for that answer. I mean, like that was very comprehensive. So we will go on to our next one. Again, I'll read it for you. So there's a one question that has come up from a lot of our viewers that says that what steps do you recommend for early professional and students that really want to make a successful transition to analytics?
Hmm. So if you would have asked me this question 3-4 years back, I would have given you a very very different answer. Right. Today we live in a world of artificial intelligence, Gen AI, and things are changing so rapidly, it's unbelievable. Right. Just to give you a context before I give this answer is chat gpt from where it was 4 years back, and I'm just talking about last 4 years, from chat gpt 2 to chat gpt 4 today. People used to say 4 years back it's great that it can read a sentence, and today it's writing essays for you, clearing SAT exams, and doing whatnot.
Right.
This world of analytics is changing so rapidly. If you don't keep up the pace with it, I think you'd lag behind very quickly. A lot of people saying that I've done Python certification and this is my segue into analytics. That's not how it will work. You need to, yes, programming is important to get started, and I'm not questioning that, but it's really important to be abreast with the industry. What are the latest trends? Read a lot. Please, I tell this to folks, read a lot. There is a situational awareness paper that I was reading recently, which talked about chat GPT 2 from 4, what is changing, what are different models out there, what is really happening in the industry. Now imagine a guy that you're interviewing who just talks about, this is what I know in terms of Python. I have done certification A, B, C. I'd be impressed. But if somebody comes and says, listen, I've done all these certifications, but then, I was reading up on that. I'm really interested in, Gen AI, and I read up on this paper. It was a very good point of view. Certainly my thought process changes about the person because he's so much more rounded, right? And like I was saying, even on this, I was reading that Microsoft and OpenAI are working on 100 billion cluster that's supposed to come out in 2028. And the cost is comparable to International Space Station. That's how
Wow.
huge this industry is going to be in the next few years. And it's going to change every freaking 6 months is going to change. So if you don't
Right.
keep up the pace with it, and you don't sound intelligent, and you're not actually interested truly on what's happening out there in the market, you'll perish, basically. Your skill sets are going to be taken over. We are not talking about a sci-fi anymore. The skill sets are being taken over by robots. Who would have imagined there are robots who could talk like humans now? But then that's the
Sure.
world that we live in, and it's going to get
Right.
crazier as we go by. So we need to
Right.
evolve as humans. As professionals, we need to evolve and keep those certifications there. I'm not even saying don't remove them, but keep yourself very very updated to what's there in the market. That's one. And two, uh, whenever you get a chance to interview for any such roles or anything, please show a very very keen attitude to learn. I feel that's just been on a downward spiral over the last 10 years, and I've must have taken like 7-8 thousand interviews till date. I've just seen it go down for some reason. I don't find folks who say that, yes, I don't know this. First of all, acknowledge that I do not know this. And then give me a chance. I will learn it. And I'll learn it so well that in 6 months, you'll come back and say I'm an expert at it. So for me, aptitude you can learn. It's the attitude that you need to pick up. So that to me has become a big gap. So these two things I would say, just keep yourself abreast with the industry, totally read up a lot, and then just focus on the right attitude to learn. You'll get an opportunity. Anybody um, who's new into the industry without experience gets an opportunity almost 50% on the basis of your aptitude and 50% on the basis of your attitude.
Wow. So I mean that's a big nuggets for everyone watching this. And if you are in like MBA school or engineering, if you're doing engineering, so these are something you need to keep in mind, right? Now, keep yourself informed, keep reading, as Saurabh said, and those skills are fine, those basic certifications are fine, but know how deep you are into the subject. So that kinds of present with the recruiter.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. There are few more. It says, I mean, you've already answered this partially, but again, I'll still point it out. So it says, how important is a formal education versus hand-on experiences, certification in getting into analytics?
Certifications are important. See, in our world right now, and I'm going to talk very tactical than strategic, right? To get shortlisted, right? You need those key skills to be there, especially when you're not experienced as much and you're coming fresh out of college or anything. So I think those things kind of help you stand out from the rest of the crowd. Every time you make a resume, if you're gonna take your friend's resume, and I've done it too, right, and just change the content and keep the format same and use his objective statement and all of that, it's not gonna fly, right? Today, we humans don't scan resumes anymore. It goes through a system. It
System,
goes
right?
the AI now knows what keywords to look for and then picks up the right resume. So if you've not read through JD very well, and if you've not put those skills in your resume in the truthful way possible, then it's not going to get shortlisted. So I think one thing that you should definitely do is contextualize to anything and everything that you're doing. Two, I think your experience that you've captured goes a long way whenever you apply for your next job. So learnings from it, uh, business context from it, all of that becomes supremely important when you get into your next gig. So I think it's a mix, like you rightly said. I've spoken about it, so I won't ramble on about it again. But it's really a mix that you need: formal education and experience with the right contextual knowledge. Don't say, and I'll give you a small example, right? Just so you say, don't say I have worked on a project for marketing analytics, right? What in marketing analytics? What was the business problem? What were you trying to solve? What was the size of the team? What was your contribution? And once you solve that problem, what did it mean for the client? Who were the consumers for it? Like, these are the questions that I would ask in an interview. If you're able to smartly put it in a resume, highlight it the right way, talk about it in a sensible way, you will sail through, because folks with good structured thoughts and a great attitude are a very, very rare mix. You'll be surprised to know it's such a rare mix. So and I think this is what one needs to focus on.
Right, right. Again, very important points for everyone watching this. Formal education is fine, certifications are good, but again, know how involved you are into the subject, getting into these basic things. So again, thank you so much. Like there are few more for in the list, and so this is one question that gets onto the internet like all the time. So it says, where do you see the field of analytics heading 5 to 10 years down the line? I mean, I know that you've already partially answered this question, but again, if you have any specific to add on, and if you have any emerging trends that we need to look upon during like these
I think Gen
times.
AI is going to be big. Like, artificial intelligence is the name of the game next. I think for the reason why I said before that 3 to 4 years back, I would have given a very different answer, because I would have probably focused on predictive analytics. I would have focused on modeling and statistics. I would have focused on cloud engineering. Today, stuff like prompt engineering are there, right? I don't know if folks listening to this know about it, but go to deep learning's website. Just look it up. What a prompt engineering is. It's basically training the model that has already been built, the LLM models, the large language models, and contextualizing them for business. It's a full-time job now. A computer cannot contextualize a model to understand business, right? And that becomes a full-time job. So that's one example of how the industry is changing, and it's going to change even more. I feel the AI researcher or AI engineer job, so to say, is not going to exist, right? So that is also going to be done by a robot again, so to say. So for us to be updated, for us to work with this trend, stuff like prompt engineering, get trained on that, and prepare yourself for the next change that is going to happen. That is really what is the name of the game for the next 5-7 years. Keep yourself very well abreast with what's happening on cloud. There are so many summits that happen on AWS, on Databricks, and everything. If you get an opportunity to go there and speak with different people, it will give you attend those speaker sessions. Those are very very useful because they talk a lot about how they are now transforming cloud to adjust to the AI boom that we are going to see in the next few years. So this gives you immense amount of knowledge on what is it that you need to focus on. And there are five. I can't list down 4-5 things specifically, but I think that's directionally where one should look at in the next few years.
Great, great, awesome, awesome. I mean, this was again brief, and because I'm from the analytics background as well, so I keep reading these things like 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, and I completely agree with you that things are going to change in a big way, and all those researches happening and all those jobs that is more repetitive and can be automated will be definitely be taken away uh, from the
Those
market.
are done, Mihir, already, right? If you ask me, those are already done and dusted. This is the repeatable jobs is what I automated in my last job before Tiger Analytics. We were building virtual robots, which were automating this. I think that's all a matter of past. Right now, it'll program for you, it'll write an essay for you, it'll do everything that you need it to do. Now, how do you make a space for human beings to do analytics work is really what one needs to understand and prepare themselves for it. Um, one one thing that I always tell folks is when you go into a project, a meeting, always know your audience, right? What is it that they're looking for? Um, this is one very small example that a robot cannot do. It cannot understand what is your objective of trying to solve a business problem. You can write stuff after stuff, but it will not be able to do that as well as a human. So that's what a so-called and this is a small example, right? A project manager should know your audience, your ability to contextualize, your ability to understand their obstacles. Don't assume stuff. These are some good to have things that I tell folks. Um, but then, just from an industry perspective, this is what you should absolutely look at. Get yourself ready and pull your socks up to understand what this world is. Because if you don't understand it, it'll understand you and replace you very quickly. So it's
Great,
time.
great. So, I mean, one final question before we go into rapid round.
Okay.
So, this is because all our viewers are are basically the MBA candidates who basically doing their first year, second year into the MBA or engineering grad, sitting in their first year, second year, third year. So, any final words for them? Because your career is kind of a dream for them, like getting into those corporate ladders. So, any final words for them so that things keep rolling for them and they can get into your shoes down
I
the line.
think 2-3 large learnings from not just my MBA as a professional as well over the last so many years is focus on learning. I think that never stops. Don't be shy of asking somebody for help. I think we get so bogged down by our own ego that we do not want to ask for help. It's extremely important. All of us are good at something. If you can pick up good skills from somebody else, nothing like it. Second, I think surround yourself with folks who are like-minded, essentially, right? If you're serious about your career, you really want to make it big, surround yourself with folks like that. um, I think those two things would be extremely important for anybody to focus on over the next especially with our changing industry, right? I things that I spoke about, the more you read, the more you get context, the more you talk to people, The more you listen to these sessions, the more information you'll get, and it'll just help you. Not today, not tomorrow, but you'd realize none of that knowledge will ever go waste. It may sound very boring right now to you because you can't, really attach it to the real world,
Great.
but then you would realize that how priceless that is. And if I were to go back and change one thing during my MBA, I think that's one thing I would change. I would absolutely read up so much more than what I already did, uh, to be even better than what I am today. So I think
Wow,
it's
nice.
really important.
Great, great. Thank you so much for those pointers. I mean, everyone, those who are listening to this, like now, I mean, preparing for analytics, management consulting, these are the pointers will help you for sure. Keep reading yourself, keep yourself updated. I mean, use those time to read more and more, go to internet, watch podcasts, and I think this should get you started with your analytics, management
Yeah.
consulting, and the roles you're looking for. All right, so we come up to the final part of our podcast. Like there's a rapid round. And there's few questions with two options, and I would like to know your answers of this. So here we go. The first question is: what is the most exciting trend in analytics right now? Predictive analytics or descriptive analytics?
Gen AI. I know it's not in the option, but that's what truly is.
Great, great, awesome, awesome. So, which skill is more crucial for an analyst? Technical expertise or business acumen?
Business acumen.
How important is coding knowledge in field of analytics? Essential, not necessary.
Not necessary. I am a prime example.
We heard you. Okay. Which industry do you think benefit the most from the analytics? Healthcare or retail?
In terms of impact, healthcare, because it's true lives. I mean, human lives at stake. I did something very similar for a hospital for a really long time. So it actually involved transplants. So in terms of impact, because it involves human health, I would say healthcare.
Perfect. What is the most important factor for success in analytics? Having a strong statistical background or understanding the business problem well?
Latter, second one. Business problem is really important. I think statistics is now LLMs have completely killed it. Right. I'm sorry for anybody who's doing statistics right now. Not trying to discourage you from doing it. I think basics are really important, but that ability to connect business problem to a solution is priceless. Absolutely priceless.
One last question. What's the most common mistake companies make while when starting with analytics? First, investing too much in technology. Second, ignoring the need for the skilled professional.
Ignoring the need for skilled professional. I think putting up money upfront is great, but if you don't have right people to use it, what you'll do is you'll build a product, you'll build a solution that nobody in your organization uses it. So if you don't have the right folks to push it through, then it's doomed to fail.
Great. So this is end to our like a conversation. Thank you so much for your time, Saurabh. It means a lot to me, a lot to our viewers, and sharing for those insights and all those wisdom with all our viewers. Even I learned a lot with today's conversation. I'm sure a lot of our viewers would be thankful for this session as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. I think always up for sharing my thoughts with folks, and I hope it helped somebody somewhere. I am readily available on LinkedIn. I mentor a lot of folks there, so that door too is always
I'll
open.
mention your LinkedIn profile in the
I
comments
always say
so
that
that
because and you'll never not get a response from me, even if it's a no. I think that's one thing that I've learned the hard way. You know, there will be a time in everybody's career where someone else needs your help, and you treat people the way you want to be treated. So you'll always get a response from me.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, and have a great
Thank
Canada
you.
Day.
Have a good one. Cheers.